Hello everyone, this is the Sledgehammer with the Boondock Gaming community coming at you today with Life is Feudal Your Own. Going to talk to you today about some of the basics of terraforming and getting the earth and soil ready to be able to put structures down so that way you can construct some beautiful objects and really shape the world to what you want it to be. So we'll get and talk about some of that and go over some of the basics. We'll get started here. Let me find a nice little area here to show you guys the tutorial. That's a dead moose there. Alright, come up over here over our farming area. We'll come up here to this area right here, and what we want to do is just get a basic structure. So you want to come down to terraforming, right click on the grid. Before we do that, let's take a look at the skill book. You want to find terraforming in the skill. We'll go over that real quick here and come down to the different areas to terraforming, so that way we make sure we can see what we're able to do. So looking at the terraforming here, it's down here. You want to come over here and see the different things that you can do at the different skill levels. At 0 you get certain abilities, at 30 you can flatten the ground, and you can dig tunnels at 60, and then the other two are not implemented yet. So with that said, make sure you're at the appropriate level. Right click on the ground here to get started, go to terraforming, and you want to go to observe. Going to observe is going to show you what the grid looks like. So it'll click on this right here, and you'll see the grid pop up. Now, keynote with the grid tab, as you may know, allows you to view. You'll keep the scrolling cursor up, so if you need to look around, sometimes it'll be blocked by trees. What you want to do, we'll go ahead and hit tab here so you can see the view mode. It's kind of a free look mode. Zoom in with the mouse wheel, zoom out with the mouse wheel. And so looking at this grid, what you want to see here is the different numbers is what we kind of want to pay attention to, and the different sizes and values of these numbers to make sure we have the land correct. Showing you different numbers here. So looking at the ones we got, these are 23. We want to make sure that we're going to try to keep the ground flat, and the ground needs to be flat in order to place structures. So the first thing you want to do is flatten the ground. We're going to look to flatten the ground. You want to get into the square where you're going to want to make these all flat. So flattening the ground is one of the key techniques that's going to make the life a lot easier in this. If you want to be able to get structures up pretty quick, and if you're doing this solo. So stand in a grid where you want to start with. See, this one's 23, and these are already 23, so we're going to want to flatten the ground. So looking at this, we'll in observe mode, you just hit escape to get out, go down to terraforming. When we get down to terraforming here, you want to go to flatten ground. Now, because these are the same shape or the same value size, you're going to actually flatten the ground to make it buildable. So we'll go ahead and click on flatten ground here to be able to make it a buildable area, and we'll show you in observing mode here in a second how it'll change to a different color, which shows you can build. So we'll come down to observe, and now you'll see that the grid is now green, which means it has been flattened to the liking of the game to where you can put a structure on it. So let's go down here to construct, take a look at something to place on there just to show you. Let's see, archery target, let's do a training dummy. Put a training dummy on. So as we go to place a training dummy, the grid comes back up. You'll notice it's green now. So if you see a red or a yellow, you can't build on there. So seeing the green, we are able to now place our training dummy into the grid. So let's spin it here. Alright, get to where we like it. And then we'll come down and click build. Alright, so now as we're building it, that's one of the key things just to keep in mind is the ground has to be flattened, or else you will get an error message. So one thing you want to do, oops, kind of move the screen there. Pay attention in your chat box to the system tab here. It'll let you know, because early on in the game they didn't show that the wasn't able to be built on, and it could be easily missed. So watch for that action. If it's not able to be placed, it'll let you know. So looking at our training dummy here, we now see this. We'll go ahead and right click on it, to be able to construct. So we have it in place, ready to go, ready to build, because our ground is now flattened. So that's kind of the key basics with flatten the ground. Let me go over here. What I'm going to do, let's see if we got any dirt in my inventory now. show you some of the other aspects of how flattened ground works, because flattening the ground, like I said before, is going to be one of the key components that's going to make life a lot easier. You're able to raise and lower the ground, which I'm going to go ahead and lower the ground here, so I can click through my menu. We're going to go ahead and lower the ground here to get some soil. So if you're flattening and you're going to be raising the ground up to your level, you want to have soil on you. If you're going to be lowering the ground to you, then don't have anything in your inventory because you'll be pulling soil. So let's go back into Observe. And we're now looking over here. So let's take a look at this one over here. So this one is 22.4 to the left here. So let's view mode down and scroll in. Alright, so this is 22.4, and we want to flatten this up to the level of where we're at, or raise it up to level. So using Flatten Ground, come down to Terraforming and say Flatten Ground. What this will do is it'll put dirt that we just picked up into that square by 0.1. So let's go back to Observe just to see this here. Alright, I'm going to move out of the way here. Alright, come back down in. You now see it's 22.5. So basic math.